Jake, July 13th, 2025, 10:48 p.m. I did something very wrong. You know how I said the campsite was a hidden gem? Hopefully they don't find my friends' dead bodies here. I didn't do it on purpose. Well, I did. I just needed them to shut up. I know how that sounds. Trust me, I do. You're probably already picturing some fizzy path in the woods, with blood on his hands and a twisted smile. But it wasn't like that. It was never supposed to be like that. It was quiet when I did it. Not peaceful quiet. More like the quiet you get right before a storm breaks something in half. That kind of quiet. The kind that hums in your ears and won't leave you alone. I used to hate that sound. Silence. It made me feel like I was disappearing. But lately, I've learned to love it, because silence means no one is asking me questions. Silence means I don't have to lie. Silence means I have no one left to remind me of what I have done. They say guilt is like an anchor, that it drags you down slowly until you're too deep to see the surface anymore. But that's not true. Guilt isn't heavy. It's sharp. It stabs you when you least expect it, makes you bleed when no one's looking. And when the bleeding starts, you wonder how long you've actually been broken. After Emily drowned, I thought the worst part would be losing her. It wasn't. The worst part was what came after. The looks, the rumors, the way our group started to rot from the inside out. Everyone had a theory. Everyone had a reason to point fingers. And none of us really trusted each other anymore. How could we? We were all hiding something. And me? I was hiding everything. You ever fake a smile so well that you forgot what your real one feels like? Yeah, that was me all summer. Jake, the good brother. Jake, the one who tried to protect everyone. Jake, who held Emily's wet hoodie like it could bring her back. No one suspected a thing. Because why would they? I was broken. I was grieving. I was quiet. But grief could be a good cover for things. Like rage. I keep thinking back to the last words they said to me once they pieced the puzzle together. Not Emily or my family. The ones who made it out that weekend, breathing. I blamed Mark, and I was mad. They knew I killed her, and I needed them quiet. You need help, man. This isn't who you are. She didn't deserve that. Maybe they were wrong. Maybe this is who I am. And maybe they were the ones who didn't deserve what they had. Not after what they did. Not after what they said. I dig my fingers into the dirt, feeling how cold the ground is under the leaves. The campsite still looks the same. Tents half-packed. Trash still in the fire pit. That stupid blue chair Jace wouldn't stop using. It all feels frozen, like the place itself is waiting for something. I wonder how long it will take before someone notices the silence again. Before they realize we're not just camping. Before they understand that something bad happened here. I get up slowly and walk back toward the car. My footsteps are the only sound now. No bickering, no laughter, no Emily, no Sarah. No one telling me I'm overreacting. No one rolling their eyes. No one acting like they know better. Just me. And the quiet. I love the quiet. I didn't mean to kill them. I just wanted the noise to stop. And now that it has, I don't ever want it to come back. I don't know when exactly I started to smile. Maybe when I realized how ridiculous I sounded. Or maybe it was after the adrenaline kicked in and my nerves snapped. I stood at the center of the campsite, blood on my hands. though I didn't feel it. I felt hollow, like sticking a knife through an empty soda can. And the quiet was so complete, I could hear my heart, pounding like a drum in a room with no walls. I ran my fingers through my hair, pushed the sweat off my forehead. The last thing I remembered, before everything went dark, was them, my family, telling me I was cracking, telling me I needed help, telling me they loved me too much to just fade away. Well, I finally did something about it. I sank onto a log where my sister's blanket still lay. It smelled like her, a soft cotton that smelled like cherry chapstick and baby shampoo. I closed my eyes, breathing it in one last time. No tears came, and I don't think I expected any. Not now. They wouldn't have changed anything. The sirens came later. First, faint, like an echo from a dream. Then loud, close, urgent. I waited until the lights flashed through the trees, painting everything in red and blue, before I walked toward them. They were waiting at the edge of the woods, guns out, flashlights bobbing like hunting lights. "Jake Torres?" One of them barked. He was tall, SWAT-fatigued, not badge-fatigued, and looked like he'd been on call for days. "Yeah," I said. My voice sounded hollow in my ears. "Step away from the—" "Wait," I interrupted, raising a hand. "Please. Let me." I paused. I didn't know what I even needed. "Let me show you." They hesitated for a second, like they knew I was walking into the exact amount of trouble I wanted to walk into. They closed in as I led them to the fire pit. There were things I didn't want them to see. Things that would make them look at me and know. The campsite was trashed, tents ripped, logs broken, stones scattered, and in the middle, that's when I saw the look in the tall cop's eyes. The way his jaw worked. The way he cleared his throat before he looked back at me. He didn't say a word. He just crouched down, flashlight over the pit. I waited. Finally, he spoke, quiet, but tired. "Jamie," he called, nodding to a teammate. Another officer came back with a black bag and gloves. I said nothing. I didn't need to. They moved the bodies quickly, practiced. The fire pit would look normal by morning. The log where I sat would go back to being dirt. The blood that stained the leaves wouldn't matter once it was rinsed away. I could already see the news transition. Teen camp disaster, tragic ending. I was going to walk away. Literally. They cuffed me. "Jake Torres, you have the right to remain silent." The sergeant read through the red haze. "Anything you say." I smiled. I did have a lot to say. But something told me it wouldn't matter now. Inside the SUV, sirens still wailed outside. The world felt spinning, but my head was oddly clear. Clear and cold, and sure. They asked if I wanted a lawyer. Nope. They asked if I had anything I wanted to say. Just one thing. They waited, because they'd learned not to argue yet. They needed to shut up. If someone had really loved me back then, they'd come back to me. That's how I'd always thought it worked, but they hadn't. So I'd made sure they wouldn't. At the station, they booked me. Photos, fingerprints, paper forms, interrogation rooms, plastic chairs. Everything had edges now. Nothing soft or forgiving. They brought me into a room that smelled like bleach and regret. I sat at the table across from the sergeant who had overseen the evidence cleanup. He set a tape recorder between us and hit play. My name, date of birth, address. Then they asked, "Jake, why did you do it?" I looked at him like he already knew. Because they wouldn't stop talking. They paused. I stared back. And for a moment, the whole room froze. Then the recorder hissed. and I just left the silence hanging there. It got late. I got tired. Something I used to joke about never happening to me. They brought me dinner. Cold. Bland. I chewed it to swallow, even when I didn't want it. Food's good for the soul, something my family used to say. The irony was, I already fed my demons. After that, I lay on the cot with plastic mattress under me and a thin blanket and just stared. When you're messed up enough, you get used to sleeping under neon lights and steel walls, because everything has sharp edges now. I had dreams later. Not nightmares, more like memories. My sister's scream as she saw her dad on the ground. My dad's eyes rolling back for a second, then clearing. My mom's voice, quiet but broken. "Jake, please." I woke up before any of them finished. I didn't want to remember, but I did. The next morning, they gave me a mirror to brush my teeth and comb my hair. I stared at myself. Same guy. Just colder. The cop came in again. "Jake, we're preparing the report." And he frowned, like he was missing something. "I don't see signs of remorse." I shrugged. He looked at the tape recorder. "Are you going to say anything else?" "No," I said. "Not yet." More pauses. More blinking. Then he nodded. I read in his eyes that they expected a meltdown, a confession, a breakdown. But they didn't get one. They moved me into a holding cell later. Just a cot, walls, one small window. Time passed. The ceiling light looked like the sun now. I counted hours by the sounds from the hallway. Guard boots, muffled questions, the hum of AC. Then voices. "Blame it on Mark," someone said. "Jake said if we did, it'd..." Sergeant's voice shoved them back into silence. I heard it, but didn't move, because that was the plan. Let everyone else squeal about motive and mental breakdown. Let the cameras capture the tears and the missing family sobs. Let the pundits and the pontificators. I already knew the one thing that mattered. Me. Standing between them, in the silence. And they'd never know what really happened out here in the camp. At some point, they'll bring in an attorney. They'll talk about plea and bail and court and precedent. But for tonight, I stay here, in the calm. There's a storm coming. I can feel it. And this time, I might just let it rain.